Absolutely.
I'm at negative 0.7. Mike, that other camera's good?
Yep.
Okay. Would you introduce yourself?
Of course. My name is Gustavo Ordunez. 31 years old, born in Cuba, raised in Miami. I'm a musician, an artist, a waiter, a server, uncle, whole slew of things.
What brings you here today?
Spontaneity, I think, is the right response here.
To your right hand side, there's a yellow envelope.
Mm-hmm.
Could you please open it? And you're gonna read the letter inside.
Sure.
Take your time reading it so we can.
Okay. Sure. Dear someone, in October 2020, I decided to come to the US, and I was full of hope and enthusiasm. I decided to make this journey because I wanted a better life for my children. I had already paid someone to cross my 1-year-old daughter. We were a group of people walking without resting and enduring great thirst. When we crossed the river to enter Texas territory, we heard the immigration police, and the group ran in all directions. I followed the caminante. He's like a coyote. He stated that he knew the area very well to avoid the police, so I decided to follow him. I was running behind this man for hours. Finally, when he stopped, I felt that I was safe. I felt relieved that I was inside the USA. Sadly, this was not the case. The coyote told me to take off my clothes. I responded saying I would not do that. He then screamed at me, "Look around. You can't do this without me. I'm going to hand you over to immigration." I began to tremble with fear. I was so scared, so tired, and felt so heavy because my clothes were wet. I couldn't fight back. I didn't have the strength to resist. He began to sexually abuse me. He was brutal. I felt so nasty and scared. This, of course, did not end there. I had to journey this man until we arrived at our destination. He treated me like if I was dirt. Once we arrived at the city, he told me I needed to hide in the forest to wait for a lady who was going to pick me up soon. He left me alone, hungry and devastated. To this day, I'm having nightmares with his face, hands, and voice. I saw a gas station and observed people coming in and out. For days, I was hiding in the forest waiting for this lady. One day, I saw a woman looking into the forest. I felt it was the right moment to come out from my hiding spot. She quickly took me to her house, where she gave me something to eat and a bathroom to shower and a set of clean clothes to put on. She also took me to pick up my daughter. Around that time, I didn't feel so good. I thought it was something I ate or the lack of sleep. After speaking with the lady about my symptoms, she decided to buy me a pregnancy test. I discovered that I was pregnant by the guy who raped me. This, of course, shocked me. I couldn't believe this was happening to me just for wanting a better future. Immediately, I told the lady that I don't want to have the baby. She said to think about it because she can keep the baby and they will take care of me and my daughter during the pregnancy. They moved me to another state, to the house of the lady's sister. I stayed in a tiny house, a shed, in the backyard, without AC, water, bathroom, and food. I starved during the pregnancy and suffered nightmares, depression, and anxiety. There just was a couch for me and my daughter. These ladies told me that I would get paid $200 weekly to clean a pool area that they have after events. They never paid me. I think it was because I was living there. They locked me and my daughter in the tiny house and left us without food. I will never forget her face and how she looked at me while she spoke to me. She was always drinking or eating something. Meanwhile, I starved. Every time they left, they made sure to lock us from the main areas to keep us from the kitchen and the bathroom. If they were out of the house at daytime, they locked the main property, so I didn't have access to the bathroom or kitchen. One day, this lady told me that they spent too much money on food and that they made an appointment with WIC. The person at the WIC, case manager, was super kind to me and enrolled me in other services. On a rainy day, they called me to come to my house and drop off some clothes from my daughter and a car seat. They knocked on the door, but the lady told them that I didn't live there. The case manager called me immediately to see where I was, and I rushed to her car. She asked what was going on, and I started crying and told them everything. The authorities in that state removed us from that horrible place. As soon as the baby was born, I gave him or her up for adoption. I will never forget what the judge told me. You are not a bad mother. You are trying to do the best that you can, and I admire you. I changed my phone number and relocated because if I stayed, it would find me and hurt me. Now I can breathe. Sincerely, a survivor. P.S. Would you be my voice?
What emotions or thoughts is processing right now?
That's a lot, you know. I can't possibly quantify or really know the depth of what this person went through. But as I was reading it, I drew a lot of parallels to seeing my mom struggling here when we first got to this country, you know, in '92.
Knowing there's some parallel between her and your mom, if this survivor was here next to you, right in front of you, what would you want to tell her?
That's a lot to unpack. There's a lot that needs to be said, and there's a lot that needs to be done. As far as everything that she went through, there's a lot to unpack there. Everything that happened to you is not your fault. You had to become someone to survive, and that's something that happens. That's something that we all go through, and survival's hard, and we become things that we probably don't identify with to cope and to make it through. So I guess all I would say is it's not your fault. You know, it's tough because I have a lot of things that are going through my mind, and I honestly don't know if any of these like solutions, or I don't even know if to call them solutions, but if these things that are crossing my mind are in any way to help. But it's like reading that kind of just brought me back to my mother, and you know, just everything she's been through, and I don't know, it just resonated that for me deeply, you know. My name is Gus, and I will be your voice.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate you coming.
Thank you for having me.
And I have your same story. My mom's saying it's my hero.